He is the superintendent of the Jennings School District. Now, Jennings is a town of about 15,000 people in North County. How big is the school district?
School district has about 3,000 students.
So not a very big school district, not a very big town.
No.
And yet many people are saying that you are, through your personality, your perseverance, are making dramatic changes to the lives of people, not only in Jennings, but all around the region.
I appreciate that. I'm humbled. There is no I in success, so I give the credit to the entire team, the entire community. Everyone has been working hard. But to have 3 years of 100% graduation for the student cohort for that year, and then the fourth year, 98% graduation, 92.2% of the state accreditation measures met, that is record-breaking, the highest in the history of Jennings and any urban school system in the state, to be frank.
Hold on a second. I thought you just said you had a 100% graduation rate the last couple of years?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Back to back. And the beauty of it is it's not social promotion where you're just pushing people along. We have had 100% career and college placement, too, for each of those years. So that means that they're all in college or they're all in jobs. And that's what's transformative. I can tell you about it.
How long have you been there?
I've been there. This is my 5th school year that I've been in Jennings. I came in February of 2016.
So like a coach, you inherited a wonderful winning program and just continued on with the success.
Well, you know, a strong foundation is essential for having this level of success. So I definitely inherited a strong foundation. But what I was able to bring from California was this notion of career academies, essentially career and college prep academies. So the college prep academy had started a few years back, and it was just now getting to the high school. I was able to see the students through graduation and make all the partnerships for them to have full rides, essentially, and 60 college credit hours completed of an associate's degree by the end of their senior year. So that was my part of it, since most of them were juniors and sophomores. But then we added the career prep academy, which is amazing. Every kid gets an internship, an apprenticeship, a mentor.
We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that in a second. But I want to know about you a little more. You grew up in St. Louis.
Yes, sir.
When did you graduate?
Actually, I was in Jennings. I grew up on Elta Road Street in Jennings. It was unincorporated St. Louis, and that was in 1977 that I was born, and ran those streets from the 80s, and actually then went to Riverview Gardens my freshman year, and that's when I left after really going to Riverview for mostly K through 9th grade, and then I went to Lafayette High School, 10th, 11th, and 12th, and I'm a Lafayette Lancer grad.
And then where did you go to college?
So I'm a 95 Lancer grad, but I'm a 1996 college graduate. I finished a 4-year degree in a year and a half by going to 3 places, WashU, UMSU, and Harris-Stowe State University. So I got my degrees from UMSU and from Harris-Stowe Teacher's Certificate.
So you went out into the world and amassed this educational think tank on your own, in a sense.
Yes, to an extent, yes. So, I mean, my college counselor, my high school counselor, Galen Lastard, helped me at Lafayette High School to make this career pathway to really become the youngest certified teacher in the state of Missouri by 18, finishing the college credits, and then by 19, literally teaching at Lafayette, where I graduated in 95. I came back as a teacher in January of 97 and taught there for 3 years. So that was the real creation of this. You can do college and career simultaneously while in high school and get college credentials or work credentials. And so I was a substitute teacher at 18 in 1996 at Rockwood Valley Middle School right next to me. So literally that was my beginnings of this career pathway academy notion.
You could do anything you wanted. You're clearly brilliant. You're smart. Why come back and be a high school principal of a school of 30,000 kids?
That's a great story. So the story is this: that my math teacher, Mr. Steve Selly, who may be still teaching at Marquette High School now, he was at Lafayette. He was an engineer, and I was in his math class my sophomore year when I got to Lafayette, and he said, "Art, you can do anything. Why don't you be an engineer?" And I said, "You know what? I want to be a teacher like you, because you left engineering to come deal with us young people." And he really motivated me. I did take a few actuary exams, because when I took some of the standardized tests, they were like, "You should be an actuary." I got the job at Hewitt Associates, and literally on the first day when I was in Chicago at Hewitt Associates, the CEO came and said, "You're going to make a lot of money. $360,000 is what I make. You're going to do that in just a matter of years, and you're going to fly left and right and do things." And he left and went to San Francisco, and I stayed at Chicago to go in the corner to do mortuary tables to figure out how much to charge people in order for the insurance company to win. I quit on the first day, literally. And really what made me just say, no way, I'm leaving here on the first day, was when I had to put a value on a life, and a life particularly of mine, like a black male, was only worth the price of a Honda Accord, like 33 grand. And I'm like, no way. I need to be on the front end of the solution, not the back end doing this. I called my high school principal. I reminded him what he promised me when I got the diploma from off the stage. He said, Art, if you ever need me, call. If you want to work for me, you always got a chance for a job. I called him. He hired me, and I was ready with the certificate, and I became the youngest teacher because of calling my high school principal.
Art McCoy, Dr. Art McCoy is our guest. He is the superintendent of Jennings School District. We talk about all the problems in the city schools, the county schools, the accreditation problems. Jennings is it a model? Is it can we take the model and go, can we replicate you? Can we put you in a Xerox machine? How does this work?
Cloning does work, but it's not for humans yet. So I would say we can replicate this model. It's been created and designed to scale. I'm actually working with Kathy Osborne with the RBC and the STL Works Initiative to replicate this in the region for St. Louis. I'm working with the St. Louis Chamber to replicate it in the region. They're starting the 220 initiative or 250 initiative, which is to bring this to 250 different schools and systems throughout the entire metropolitan region. I'm working at the national level and at the state level with Governor Parson to ultimately work with the Commissioner of Higher Ed in workforce development to bring this throughout the state. I'm on the governor's board, JAG board, for Jobs for America's Graduates, which brings us into schools in the Boot Heel and all throughout. So the question is, what is this? We guarantee 4 BHAGs, 4 bold, hairy, audacious goals and guarantees for our entire system for every kid. Guarantee number 1 that we give to parents is that you can get up to 65 credit hours at no cost to your pocket. So we're saving parents immediately 20 to 50 grand because they get up to 65 college credit hours, an associate's degree at no cost. The bold guarantee number 2 is that every student has a guaranteed apprenticeship before graduation or a job after graduation. We guarantee that. Our kids are making, as juniors and seniors, of course, $11, $12 an hour. That's what the majority, about 150 of them, are making. But we have about 20 kids making $20 an hour and about 4 kids making $25 an hour. I can name the companies: Neaton House Construction, building a hospital in St. Louis City. Kyle Lopez, an amazing CEO. He's paying our kids, I can name the 2, Zion and Dion. He's paying those 2 guys $25 an hour. Now, why is a CEO taking and making a commitment to hire 5 of our kids every 6 months and paying them $20 to $25 an hour with benefits, with $1,000 of tools? And that's just in the construction and engineering industry. We have about 10 other industries that we've replicated this in, for finance, tech, health sciences, culinary sciences, and so forth. So the reason why is bold guarantee number 3. Every kid can get at least one, will get at least one IRC, industry recognized credential. So within high school at no cost to the parent or the child. What is an IRC, or industry recognized credential? That is, for construction, let's say, it's an OSHA 5 and 10 certification. It's a Powers 2 forklifting certification. And we have suppliers wanting to hire kids just to be forklifters, paying them $10, $15, $20 an hour to do forklifting alone. And with those certifications, they're halfway along for their journeyman's license by the age of 18. And then by 19, they have their journeyman's license because they've been paired with the journeyman as a mentor. Journeymen and journeywomen make about $70,000 a year. So, and there are a lot of openings for that because we got a lot of construction and building that's occurring right now. And that's just in engineering / construction. Let's go to the tech world. Worldwide Technology is hiring our students, and they actually have had over 25 students every summer do Future Ready Labs, where they are paying them to learn at Worldwide Technology, at KPMG, and at MasterCard, the technology behind each of those businesses, and they're getting paid about $15 an hour, $12 an hour to actually do real work at those settings during the summertime. Other employers include, of course, InPower trains students, gives them a certification in Cisco CCENT. That's a Cisco certification. We have CompTIA A+ certification. We give the Microsoft certification. I always like to put it this way. Too many kids know how to tweet. They know how to Snapchat. They know how to Finster. For those people that don't know what Finster is, that's a fake Instagram account. But they don't know how to access Word and Excel. And I love to say it that way because it's a pun. Young people today don't know how to access Word and Excel, meaning they don't know the Microsoft suite, but they also don't have access to quality words that help them excel in life, language, communication. And so that leads to the 4th bold, hairy, audacious goal. We guarantee every kid 6 months of power skills. Not soft skills, as most people call it, but power skills, to be able to be well-spoken, well-dressed, well-presented, well-prepared, to be on time. To be early is to be on time. They learn that. to know how to greet people, to have the WEST acronym, to have a warm welcome, to give good eye contact, that's the E, to have a smile on their face, and to give valuable time focusing on only that person and then go to the next person, which is what every good politician does. But it's the keys to getting a job, to keeping a job, to getting a promotion, and to being really prosperous in a career pathway.
You have a carrot and a stick approach to all this, not just those four things, but the things that students have to do.
That's right. Yeah, we certainly do. By kindergarten, we are telling kids about the career pathways, and we literally allow them into 3 pathways. By kindergarten, first grade, they can do the engineering construction. By first grade, they're making fidget spinners, birdhouses, and little tables. By middle school, they're making doors and easements. By high school, they're building houses, and they're actually working on building hospitals. So so they put in their 10,000 hours to be expert at something by the time they're in 9th grade, 10th grade. But we also pair them with mentors. So the other 2 professions that start out of the 3 at the elementary level are the tech professions. We do block-based coding through basically Microsoft and also through MasterCard, helping us with programs like Scratch. And MasterCard is giving us mentors from their IT department, their cybersecurity department, to literally work with 4th graders, 5th graders. And then by middle school, students are studying Python. By high school, we pay $25,000 that actually this David Stewart and Stewart Family Foundation pays $25,000 to have Georgia Research Institute of Technology fly in and teach a big data analytics class that was created by the CIA. It's the unclassified version that they're teaching us. And literally, my juniors in high school are prepared to get jobs at the NGA that don't even exist yet because it's just being built. But we've been doing that for 3 years now, having Georgia Tech fly in to teach that content, the same content that they're teaching professionals in the CIA. They're teaching us the unclassified version.
Dr. Art McCoy is with us, and he is teaching the kids of the Jennings School District, but he is giving everyone an education we need about what is going on at the Jennings School District. Just so people can recap. You've been there how long now?
This is my 5th school year.
5th school year, and the last 3 years you've had 100% graduation rates?
That's right. 3 years of 100%, and then the last year was 98%. So there was one kid who did not make it through, but we got him afterwards.
Yeah, pretty extraordinary. And you were talking about this workforce development program.
Yes.
You paint the picture, Dr. R. McCoy, that everything's rosy. You must have had some problems along the way. Must have been very difficult to say, hey, one of the things we're going to do is we're going to help teach the parents, right? I mean, explain some of the pitfalls along the way.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So, in 2010, the previous governor gave the Harvard's to Prosperity, Pathways to Prosperity grant to me to learn about this model from several places across the seas, like Germany and a few other models. And then coming back to St. Louis to kind of expose that to teachers in 2010, 2011, people were like, what are you talking about? This is going to take our jobs as teachers if you bring in professionals to co-teach with us or to actually give certifications. And so that was the real learning curve on changing how education should be viewed. Parents were always supportive of their children having more than some other person, or they're always supportive of having college paid for while they're in high school. They're supportive of having some means so that they don't have to pay for the child's clothes or for transportation, so now your child can pay for it themselves. But it was really so much educating the educators. The hardest group to educate are educators, because educators, they have a way of doing things, and they feel like that way is tried and true, and so it's hard to change the minutia, the minutia and the inertia.
You thought that they thought their jobs were going away.
That was some of the initial thoughts, and so it was just a matter of proving to them, no, your jobs aren't going away. We're going to do the reverse. We're going to expand and empower you and enlighten you and engage you in a way that you've never been engaged before. And so by starting the teacher externships, where teachers got paid to go to corporations and go for 1 day or as long as 1 week, and then go to a university to write lesson plans for a whole year based off of what they did in their shadowing experience for 1 day or for 1 week. For instance, a teacher would sit with you for 1 day or for 1 week, see what you do, see how you do it, see the technology, see the screens, see the communication, see the hits, see the target markets, see the language that's used, and then write specific lesson plans on the big data behind what you do in journalism versus in the communication behind what you do, how to keep things moving, how to speak fast, how to speak to target audience, how to make things snappy.
So instead of the teacher talking about Christopher Columbus sailing the ocean blue, they're talking about real world problems that's going to affect the kid today and going forward.
That's exactly right. Have students do essays on it, on current events. Something happens in the world, and it's like, okay, who is that important to? Why is that important? How do do you get the message out? And when should you get the message out? And how often should you get the message? Who's going to pay you to sponsor you as a corporation for getting that message out? Those are the things that the teachers are now teaching at the elementary level. They're teaching students about how the world works, but they're using reading, writing, arithmetic, and mathematics as a medium, as a way to teach about the real world. And so when the teachers were enlightened with externships to real world stuff, they're like, I never knew that this corporation existed. I didn't know why they were here. I didn't know that Emerson had that much money or had that much knowledge or heart to really have a corporate responsibility to keep the community well. Now we know, and now we're doing things. Now at the high school level, I've made a commitment as a superintendent to do 3 things in my career that parents love, and that is, number 1, I never raise taxes. Why? Well, number 1 is because you got enough private money out there to not have to raise taxes. You can raise capital. So I lead like a superintendent. I lead like a college president. As a superintendent, college presidents raise capital and they'll name a building after a person who gave enough money to have it be the Chaffetz Arena. So I have, the Centene Arena, where we have the only turf field in North County, and it's the best field ever, and it's like a European track because Centene gave us $300,000 to make it the best in the world. And I can go down the list. I mean, we've paid for students to go to Ecuador and to Africa to be global leaders and learners. Now, was this tax dollars? No. Worldwide Technology gave the donation, and even the Jennings Historical Society gave the donation so that our students, 700 of them, could take DNA assessments to know where they came from, and not only that, to know the science behind DNA, and that's our science classes, and then not only that, to know the history behind the cultures and the countries in which their relatives came, and then we invite the parents to have a reveal party, and then the parents see where their lineage came from, and then the kids go to that place. We've had several kids go. That makes learning real. That makes global leadership real. That's the new 21st century way to educate.
Jennings School District, what is the percentage of kids who are on free and reduced lunch?
Great question. We have 100% of our students receiving free meals because we are about 96% free or reduced lunch and 73% TANF, which means, government assistance, food stamps, and so forth, which is also the motivation of why I wanted to bring career prep academies in here. I wanted to eliminate us being a promise zone or receiving that much money from the federal government. Why get federal money when you can get corporate money, have a job, have a credential, and have dignity and get paid for yourself?
We have a lot more to get to. Can you stick around?
Yeah.
Do you have enough energy to last the rest of the half
Man,
hour?
all day long. All day long.
Dr. Art McCoy, we're still just touching the tip of the iceberg of what he's doing with Jennings. He is the superintendent of Jennings High School, talking about workforce development. Now, we'll leave that for a second.
Definitely.
Talk about trauma-informed schools.
Sure.
What is that?
So before I jump into trauma-informed schools, I just had to say this. Everything that I just described that's in Jennings, I've been working with University City through the RBC, as well as...
What is the RBC?
The Regional Business Council,
okay.
So that they support businesses across the region who want to have this in all the school districts. And so I've been working with the RBC to have Future Ready Labs in other places. So University City did the Future Ready Lab the last summer with us, where they had about 10 or more students at other companies getting the same mentorship, payments, and recognized industry, recognized credentials. Not only that, for example, Florissant is starting academies this coming year. They're in the year of learning right now, and they'll have academies starting next year. You have Hawthorne Academy, who's been skilling up and tooling up. And so we have other districts that are now just starting the process that Jennings has been pretty much mastering and is a model district throughout the country for. At this point, we got the Model District Academy Award.
So was that the goal, was to create the model, show that it works, and then sort of export it to other places?
That is the goal, because really it's about eliminating promise zones or underrepresented areas with low incomes, low employment, and high crime rates. And you do that by giving good skills, good job, and good character, good jobs and good character to the students and the parents. And that's what we do. And all these programs also apply to my parents. So every program and job that the student can get, the parent can also get. But the employers really like hiring the young people because they have a trajectory of just
they can
growth.
have them for the next 50 years.
That's exactly right.
But I thought that we're going to have 6 different jobs and 9 different careers because the world's going and these jobs are going away.
When you're getting paid $70,000 and you're 18, please, they're like 6 different jobs. I'm staying here until I can get a job that's $100,000. And so really, if you're happy and you're prospering, the people stay where they enjoy it, they feel meaning in their life, and they feel like they're respected. So that's not for everybody.
You're saying that there's a high school kid in Jennings who was making $50,000 a year.
That's right.
What, driving on the school lot with a new car or
That's
something?
exactly right. They'll come up in a 300 Series Chrysler. And when they walk into school with the Gucci bag and a 300 Series Chrysler, all the other kids turn around and look and say, dang, I want what they have. So now you got to do what they did. Get an industry recognized credential that makes a corporation interested in you. Then they will give you a mentor, and then they hire you. And then you ultimately on that pathway, and they'll take you up higher. Clayco has done amazing jobs by giving kids who didn't even know they were going to go to college full rides to Washington University, to UMSU, and they start as a forklifter and a journeyman, and then they end up as an engineer and architect, literally going to WashU as that. And I mean, they're giving those full rides on the spot. Tom Seekhouse, great company, great person, another owner for Clayco. Just amazing, changing the trajectory of people's minds about what they can do. Snooks, CVS gave us a CVS Mock Center, a store closed down in the city, and we put it in one of our community centers, and we're training kids on how to be CVS salespeople. We're giving them the sales CVS Rise Up credential that CVS requires of all 9,000 stores across the country. Our students get it at 18. Therefore, they're hireable and they're marketable to all stores. So if a kid goes to college, CVS wants to hire them because they got the CVS credential of hired employees already. Pro Start certification. McDonald's hires our kids. They work for McDonald's for now 90 hours, and they get $2,000 to the community college. If they work for 3 months, they get the whole community college paid for. What is the Pro Start certification? It's a culinary certification. I will hire our students if they have a culinary Pro Start certification to work for Aramark, which does our food services. So I'm able to hire 15% of our students in food service, in technology for tech support, because they get the Microsoft certification, Cisco certification. They have more certifications than some of the people that we used to have working for us that were just off the streets. And so that is the genius of the model. All these companies don't have to just hire kids. Our own school district will hire the kids for those. So that's how we guarantee every kid a job. Now, let's go to trauma-informed practices because it's connected in my mind, but it may not be connected in anybody else's mind. Here, I'm gonna draw the connection. If a kid is well fed, if a kid is well clothed, if a kid is well loved, then they can focus on being well educated. And so we have two homeless shelters that we call the Hope House, and we want no child to be homeless. When I came, there were about 300 homeless students. Now there are about 100, or a few fewer, even less than 100, because we believe not in frat houses like colleges, but hope houses. So when we see condemned houses, I'll have my construction academy work to refurbish those houses, and then we will place a parent in that house, give them the foster care training through foster care agencies that are around, and then make them sign to guarantee that they will be a parent of at least 6 other children in addition to their own. And that's how we have now 2 hope houses that does just that, where we took a parent that was previously homeless on 2 Christmases ago, refurbished the house right across the street from the high school, and literally placed her in it and said, "Merry Christmas, you have a house." She lived there for 3 months without taking any other kids, got the foster care certification, made a commitment to take up to 6 other kids, and now we have 6 kids in the house being given a mother, given food, given a parent, giving resources and education, and now career pathways when they get to high school and middle school, and they have a home. So that's literally a holistic practice. So now how's that connected to being trauma-informed? The issue is that the whole world, and especially the United States, is experiencing trauma right now. There's more pressure on people's shoulders than they realize, and they know it in some cases when they have to veg out on Netflix, when they have to just take a mental break away from work or from their own children or from their own home. People are stressed because we're experiencing trauma. There's a lot of news, a lot of stuff, and a lot of things just hitting us all the time. And so we measure this for our students, we measure it for our staff, and we measure it for our parents. As a trauma-informed district, we measure every quarter what the stress level of our students are. At the school level, we take mindful moments and minutes every beginning of the day and at lunchtime where students close their eyes, they have silence, and they do breathing, deep breathing, or they do yoga, or they do guided imagery where they think of their happy place, or they think of just the cafeteria, and then they walk in their mind's eye from the cafeteria to the class that they're in. That's called mindful moments. And so ultimately, it's the art of mindfulness that brings them into a place of having self-control. So the 3 E's for us is empowerment, and that's what workforce development is. We're empowering them to take control of their life. Enlightenment, and that's what these mindful moments do. That's what the art of mindful does. It enlightens you to the power that you have in yourself if you can just control your breathing, if you can be in tune with your biofeedback, faster heart rates, or starting to sweat. You're in an angry state. So anger is one letter difference from anger and danger. We teach our young men that. We teach our young women that. So that if we can reduce your anger, we can reduce your danger from losing your life. And we've been quite successful in having our schools now shift from just being trauma-informed to being something that doesn't exist in the Midwest right now, but we're creating it. We're becoming centers for healing engagement. And this is what I shared with the governor to help with the crisis of being the murder capital of the United States, that is St. Louis is, and the 23 deaths that has occurred in St. Louis City. We need every institution to focus and have a lens on being centers for healing engagement. So what does that mean? Having life coaches at locations, having people that are not afraid to lean into the discomfort and the trauma in a person's life and say, how are you feeling? And not freak out when they say, I feel like I want to cut myself, or freak out when they say, I feel like I want to cut someone else. And maybe you, if you don't get out my face. Okay, I hear you. Tell me more about that. We can work through this, because if we don't work through this, then they will cut themselves or cut someone else. Suicide is the second leading rate of cause for death for 10-year-olds through 35-year-olds, according to JAMA, the Journal for Medicine Research Association. And so bottom line is we need centers for healing engagement, blocks on corners, streets, courts, football fields, basketball courts, and schools and civic centers that lean into the drama and lean into saying we are here to coach you through this, because you are better than this. You can be enlightened personally, you can be empowered through someone to help, and you can be engaged on a different path for your life.
You've hired 6 therapists?
That's right, 6 therapists. So we had 4 that was hired through a program called FEED, which was where we're feeding parents, we're feeding students, we're giving them emotional development. And then 2 that are dedicated just to staff alone. 1 person that's dedicated inside the institution all day for just staff alone, and then Christian hospitals partnering with us to have their resources to have another one for just staff alone. The staff was so appreciative, saying, you care about us. We've had different staff who had to see the therapist as internal before they go to HR for any kind of being sent out. They come to our staff for things like losing a pet. Well, that's cause for trauma, because pets are really close friends. Or, having a situation where your grandchild's been taken from you and you're not able to speak really to anybody about it because you don't feel like that's an appropriate thing to do at work. Well, you get to talk to people about it. Or just anything, having a death of a relative, which that happens all the time. Those kind of things really weigh on the shoulders of the adults. A full-time dedicated staff towards that allows for self-care. It allows for a moment to say, if I take care of myself, then I could take care of others. Who wouldn't want a life coach or a therapist? Now, for the parents, we got $800,000, $650,000 from the Children's Hospital Foundation, and $150,000 from WashU Chancellor Wrighton before he left, to ultimately give 100 parents some in-depth parent-child interaction therapy. The first in the state to do that kind of specific therapy at the school location. The third in the country, where you literally have psychiatrist Dr. Joan Luby, world-renowned, who created parent-child interaction therapy. She comes to Fairview Elementary School and does this therapy behind the walls where you can't see the person on the side because you have the one-way window, and they will have a bug in the ear of the parent and tell the parent specifically how to react while their kid is having a meltdown, specifically how to act when their kid feels detached and not close to them, specifically how to act when they ask those uncomfortable questions about, where's my dad, or why are you with this new man, this other man, for this third person I've met in my life and I'm only 7. Those are real issues that require real life coaches towards parent-child interactive therapy. We're doing it first, and literally not only that, every one of those parents that are getting her direct service gets a life coach that they can call at any time, and that's what those other therapists do. So
you're still in the early stages of this, so you don't have any feedback yet on this.
This is the 4th month, and the feedback for the 20 or so parents that are in it, they love it. They are getting paid $300 to learn how to be a better parent, online classes, and they're getting a life coach, 24-hour access, and a world-renowned psychiatrist. They love it.
All privately funded.
All privately funded.
I know we're short on time. You could go for hours on this. Sure. I was talking to a charity the other day, and they were doing some work up in North County, and they said they thought the number one problem was going to be transportation. Turned out they were wrong.
No,
they
that's
said
right.
it was legal.
That's right.
Talk about that for just a moment.
So, yeah, so many people have all sorts of legal things that they have insured. From if you were incarcerated, it's hard to get a job. It's hard to keep a job. It's hard to get a loan. But even not that, some people get arrested for things that are silly, like having your trash can lid off your trash can. You can get tickets. If you can't pay the tickets, then you get arrested and you go to jail for not having your trash can lid on. Literally, we received $300,000 from the arch defenders because people got arrested for stuff like not having their trash can lid on, could not pay the fine, went to jail for 5 days, and literally had lawyers sue that were public defenders for things that are wrong like that and weren't knowledgeable about it and didn't collect their money to get their money back. And therefore, the school district got $300,000 for minuscule stuff like that. Speeding tickets, can't pay it, keep driving, you get a warrant out, you go to jail. That leads to a record that you don't get a job for, you're not able to work, and you're embarrassed by it. So there are a lot of reasons why people have things. So we began to have legal services present at every parent-teachers conference so they can have free legal services to sponge some of the stuff that could easily be taken off. I mean, many people have gotten a speeding ticket and get a lawyer, and it never shows up on your insurance, and it never turns until you go into jail. Well, that's the kind of support that Legal Services and St. Louis University is providing our students, and arch defenders is providing our students and parents for stuff that's so small.
I learned one thing: never ask him to be short.
That was my shortest answer.
Dr. Art McCoy, so much more to get to. You have to come back.
I promise, I will.
The next time you have a story, you have a good story, a bad story, someone's not doing what you want them to do, you want to promote some kid who's doing something,
Definitely.
you are anytime. I don't have to ask you. Just walk in the studio. We'll drop whatever we're doing and talk to you.
I appreciate you. You're one of the people who get it, and thank you for what you do on a daily basis, McGraw.
Thank you. I'm so late on time. We'll throw the commercials into Art and Jennifer show. You mentioned other schools are doing this. Let me ask a racist question.
Sure.
White districts, predominantly white districts, these programs would work probably just as well, if not better, in some of these.
That's right. There are white districts and private schools like others that I can name that pay a lot of tuition that are mad because they don't know this and they're not doing it and it's not current enough. So we're just starting to reach out to those districts to do it. I actually have an assistant superintendent of mine from a while back that now is over a program called CAPS in St. Charles County, and they're at the beginning stages of doing it. The difference is their students don't get paid. They basically get a shadowing experience and they get a mentor, but they're not getting paid and they're not getting an IRC. So bottom line is I'm in discussions with others to make sure they have the 4 bold, hairy, audacious goals. And that's happening.
And you don't want to run for governor. You don't want to run for senator.
I'm not running for office. I'm running from office, my brother.
If the city of St. Louis wanted a superintendent, would you take that job?
I'm not looking at that job. I respect the work of Kelvin very much, but I'm not looking at that job.
Ladies and gentlemen, he is the superintendent of Jennings High School, Dr. Art McCoy. Thank you very much.
God bless you. Thank you, sir.
Welcome back to the Art and Jennifer Show. If you've been following the news, you know that the governor of Puerto Rico, Ricardo Rossello, is expected to resign today. And Art and I have a colleague here at KTRS sports reporter Luis Noya, who still has family in Puerto Rico, so we thought that we would chat with them. So, Luis, thank you for joining us on our show.
Thank you.
He is the superintendent of the Jennings